Hello everyone, my name is Jason and I am an ISFP. You are watching my ISFP journey. Thank you for watching. So my INFP wife and I have been doing a lot of work on our home. We repaired a concrete step yesterday on the front of our house. We've torn up some carpet. We're making some modifications for various reasons. And amongst those modifications are changing some of the furnishings where we can. When we bought this house 16 years ago, one of the aspects of the house that made it such a huge selling point to me was the fact that it had a dining room, like a formal, official, real dining room. And when we moved in, we bought a new dining room table and chairs and a hutch for displaying our dishes and that sort of thing. They weren't actually new, they were used, but they were in immaculate condition and we paid quite a bit of money for them. And to me, having an official dining room and having this beautiful table and these beautiful chairs and this beautiful hutch it was like, at the time, it was like everything to me. So I was like, 16 years ago, 2004, I was 30, 20, I'm bad at math, 27, I guess. I was 27. And so the thought of having this, of the ability to like have people over, have like official Thanksgiving dinners, we now had the biggest, nicest dining room, pretty much for the most part, of everyone in my family. And so we could invite people over and so on and so forth. And I was just so proud of this. Okay. Well, over the years, the table has been nicked up, damaged. People wrote on it without putting anything under the paper. So it, it carved basically into the table. We even had one year where right as the Super Bowl was about to start, just before kickoff, we had a candle literally explode in the center of the table and light the table on fire. And there's a black spot in the center of the table where this candle burned the table. Anyway, a lot of stuff has happened to the table. It's not nearly as good of condition as it was 16 years ago. And so I have finally come to the point where I'm ready to let go of the table and chairs because my wife has a new vision for the dining room and I think it's a really good one. Well, over the last couple days, as my wife and I have been talking about a lot of these changes that we're wanting to make, I've had to analyze what it is that is hard for me to let go of and why. And so I've come to some conclusions that I think are very personality type related, and I want to share them with you. So I am an SF type, and SF types, among many other aspects about being an SF types are very focused on valuing things in the physical world. So it's no big surprise that I would value this table and chairs and value this hutch and value this dining room being a certain way. But over the years, our dining room has fallen into other uses besides just being a dining room, and it's lost a lot of the charm that it held that held me captive when we first moved in. And also as an SF, there is a degree to which I'm concerned with sort of the popularity game. Now, I don't necessarily care a lot about what a whole lot of other people think about me, but I do I've come to grips with the reality that there was this thing inside of me that was like, oh, I can invite my family over or my friends over to our beautiful dining room with our beautiful dining table and chairs. And I can say, look at this dinner table. Isn't it beautiful? And I can sort of provide a wonderful experience. And I can say, look at this experience that I've provided for you. Can't you see, even though I wouldn't say these words out loud, and even though I don't really think I was cognizant of the fact that this was true, I could honestly say, don't you see the value in the physical world that I have provided for you by bringing you into my home to this beautiful dining room and seating you at this beautiful dinner table and so on and so forth, okay? And I'm coming to terms with the fact that my brain does work this way. And if you're an SF type, especially if you're an ISFP or an ESFP, there's probably, if you'll be honest with yourself, if you'll really analyze your thought processes, you'll probably come to the realization that at times you're driven by this too. This sort of need for not popularity in the sense that you want everybody to think, like you want to fit into the group. Not like that, but that you want to be able to sort of show the value that you offer to other people, and you do it in part through the physical, tangible objects that you own or the experiences that you're able to provide to other people. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's bad. In fact, it isn't in and of itself bad. Where it becomes bad is when you become so addicted to the need to have and collect and preserve these physical things in the world. And also it's bad whenever you're not only addicted to having them, but you're sort of addicted to the rush, if you will, of being able to show them off. Okay? And so as I found myself being able to say to my wife, we can sell the dining room furniture, I had to come to grips with the reason that has been so hard for me, which is that I cherished this physical object that eventually, either it's going to fall apart or I'm going to die and it's going to, go move on to who knows what, probably be firewood someday. But not only did I value did I value this physical thing, was I addicted to the to valuing these physical things, but I was sort of addicted to being able to show off in a sense. Well, my wife is not an SF. She doesn't value things in the physical world in the same way that I do. She's an NF. She values concepts and ideas much more. She values things in the abstract world. But it's interesting, if you follow objective personality refers to NFs as hippies, all right? And my wife is a bit of a hippie. People comment about my wife, about how she's such a free spirit who changes all the time, right? One moment she may have blue hair, and the next moment she may wear a head covering. One moment she may want things to be decorated a certain way, but another moment she may want them to be decorated a different way. And throughout my life, I've often looked at the NF mindset as being flaky or flighty, always moving about, never narrowing down on any one thing. And of course, that's an NI function looking at an NE way of life. An introverted intuition desire to narrow down, looking at extroverted intuition and saying you're always, moving on to a new idea, and so on and so forth. But what I've come to the realization of is that there is a lot of joy, comfort, beauty, peace, love to be found in the NF way of looking at things. And trying to stop looking at everything through the SF valuation of the physical. How beautiful is that car? How beautiful is this table? Is it pristine? Are we keeping it in perfect condition? Has allowed me to see that there is much to be valued in the imperfections that are sometimes found in the physical world. How many times has my SF mind been frustrated with one of my children because that child damaged something in the physical world that I valued? And because of that, how many times did I treat one of my children with an attitude that was less than loving? All for some trinket or trash that eventually would be thrown away or broken or whatever anyway. And how many times has there been an opportunity to value something in the abstract world that could have brought people together, that could have brought peace into a situation, that could have brought joy where maybe there was not joy, and yet I devalued or ignored or even looked at that NF way of thinking. I may have looked at it as being inferior, deficient. And because of that, because of my unwillingness to see the beauty that exists in the imperfection sometimes of the sort of NF way of things that isn't always pristine lines, bright colors, and just off the factory line perfection, many times I've missed out on something wonderful. Now, that is how my SF held me back from valuing things in the abstract. And I'm talking a little bit about some of the things that I've suffered because of my unwillingness to step away from my need for everything to be beautiful and everything to in the physical world to be just so. That need prevented me from valuing the abstract, from seeing the beauty that could come in the imperfections, from seeing the beauty that could come, or the joy that could come, or the love that could be born out of embracing a little bit of the hippie side of things, if you will, embracing a little bit of the NF, allowing things to be a little bit more chaotic than I would have liked, and yet still there can be a lot of amazing wonderfulness found in the chaos. But that's me. But what I want you to understand is that you have the same thing going on. If you are an NT type, you are naturally going to miss out on the beauty and the value that comes from the SF, from what somebody like I can offer. If you're an NF type, you might miss out on what the ST has to offer. If you're an ST type, you might miss out on what the NF has to offer. I'm an SF type, and I'm still having a hard time figuring out the NT side of things, but I'm progressing by realizing that there's great value in the NF side of things. It's baby steps for me, right? It's easy for me. It has always been easy for me to see the value in the SF side of things, valuing the physical. Wow, that's a cool car. Oh my gosh, that house looks beautiful. Those people's yard is in perfect condition. Those flowers are just, I love those flowers. They're so pretty. I love that color. Things like that. That is cooler than this, whatever. These movies were epic and they're so amazing and they're so cool. The NF guy is over here going, wow, did you catch the message in that movie? And I'm like, message? What message? I don't care about a message. Didn't you see how amazing it was when the Death Star exploded? Who cares about the message, So the SF thing has always been easy for me because I'm an SF. That's natural. The ST thing has been pretty easy for me to value because I could see the value in it. Like I could go, wow, the STs make things work. They fix things. They're the ones who are able to create all this cool stuff, right? Because they know how to make things actually physically work. The NF has been harder for me because even though it's still about valuing things, it's not valuing the physical, it's not valuing the car, it's not valuing the yard, it's not valuing the house, it's not valuing the cool explosion on the movie, it's valuing ideas. And that I have valued a lot of ideas in my life, but there's just so much beauty that is born out of the NF mind that is so easy to ignore for me as an SF, and it's probably really easy to ignore for the STs. So if you're an ST, I'm encouraging you to, step out of your ST box for a while and ask yourself, do the NFs in your life have something to offer? And where it's really hard for me, the NT side, I can see that the NTs can create amazing things, right? Like we probably would have never gone to space without NTs. We probably wouldn't have a whole lot of the amazing technologies that we have now if it hadn't been for NT types. But because I have trouble getting my brain around what they're thinking or how what they're thinking comes to fruition, that's really hard for me. But I can at least inch over a little bit by starting to value the NF types. And then maybe eventually someday I'll be able to get my brain around the NT types. So if you're an ST and the NFs just seem like hippie nuts to you, then maybe learn to value the NTs and the SFs, and eventually you can come around to seeing what the NFs have to offer. The reality is all four of these groups have great things to offer. SFs have amazing things to offer, but because I'm an SF, I'm kind of like, that's all I've ever done. And I'm kind of addicted to it, and I'm realizing that it has caused me a lot of problems in life. And maybe if I'll just step out of my SF box for a while and try to value what the NFs and maybe even on a really good day what the NTs have to offer, I might grow. And the same could be said for any of you. You're addicted to your NT, or you're addicted to your NF or your ST because that's just what comes natural to you. But are you missing out on the amazing things that the opposites have to, or the different ones have to offer? It's really difficult. You might not think it's difficult. You might not realize it's difficult. But I'm realizing at 43 years old how much I have been so addicted to the SF way of thinking that I have really not only missed out on a lot of good that could have come from embracing the NF way of seeing the world, but I've actually, I think, like discouraged and sometimes ridiculed or treated badly some of the NFs because and especially the NTs, because I was so stuck in my SF addiction. So I'm letting go of the table and chairs that I valued in the physical world, because to me they were an opportunity to say, look at what I have done. Look at the value that I have to offer. I have lived such a life that I can afford, or that I have successfully managed to be able to have a dining room where I can invite you in and seat you at my beautiful table and chairs. And what is that worth? Not much. It's worth something if I'm focused on the good times that my family and I have been able to have around that table and chairs. It's worth something if it created memories. But if all it's done is given me the opportunity to say, aren't you impressed by my table and chairs? Then it's trash. It's nothing. It's worthless. At least to me, because that's what I've been addicted to. Now, if you're an NT type and you've been addicted to, maybe not caring about those things, then maybe you could find some value in caring about those things. But I'm allowing myself to let go of the status symbols that mattered to me in the past, so that I can allow my wife to realize a more NF vision for our home. And she's already redone the living room in a more NF way. And I already am like, I go into our living room now and I feel more at peace and more calm and comfortable in the pleasant NF environment that she has created in our living room. More so than I did any time that I was trying to smash my SF vision for it over everybody's head. We all have a lot to learn and a lot of growing that we can do. And I'm starting to maybe grow a little bit. And I encourage you to do so too. Thank you so much for watching. Do please subscribe if you have not already subscribed. That would mean the world to me. Have an awesome day. Bye now.